Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to read the page number 9 of the text of our play Waiting for Godot, written by Samuel Beckett, and we know that this play is absurd theater play. So right now our two characters are conversating with each other, Astrajan and Vladimir. So Astrajan says, "What?" His response to Vladimir's long sentences. Astrajan is basically asking for clarification. We see it's one word a question, a very shortest question you can expect from anyone. And that short question is showing confusion and lack of continuity in thought. He does not have continuity in thoughts, and Strajan looks confused. So Vladimir again give a philosophical, reflexive statement. He says, suppose we repented. So if we see Vladimir is introducing different ideas, abrupt ideas, and his ideas are sudden. So here, if you see the word suppose, it shows it is only hypothetical. It has nothing to do with reality. It is just a supposition. So Vladimir is thinking, and he is establishing different hypotheses. Strajan responds, repented what? So we see that in Strajan's responses, Strajan demands clarity. So it also shows that Strajan's mind is not clear what Vladimir is saying. He is not comprehending it easily. So this also shows the idea is incomplete, and even Vladimir is not clearly defining certain ideas. Whatever he's discussing, he is not discussing them clearly. He's also, maybe he is also leaving some sort of confusion because the ideas are not clearly defined. Then Vladimir, then pause, he reflects. We wouldn't have to go into the details. Now see the response, how he's justifying what he has said. He does not, this justification also shows that he does not want to explain. He is avoiding explanation, and he's also refusing to specify something. So when he is refusing to specify, so his refusal is leaving the idea vague within the dialogue. Idea is not clear. It is not specific. It is vague. It is abstruse. Then Straton says, are being born? Another question. So now he is seeking certain kind of interpretation. Rather, he is giving extreme interpretation. And his interpretation shifts the idea from action to existence itself. He's talking about their existence, the birth, right? Vladimir breaks into a hearty laugh, which he immediately stifles, his hand pressed to his pubis, his face contorted. Now, certain description we find about Vladimir's action. He laughs, and he laughs naturally, but immediately he stops laughing. So this laughter is a physical action, and that physical action is showing interruption of expression. Again, interruption. Again, we see certain conversation is interrupted. Then Vladimir says, one daren't even laugh anymore. Now again, see, in previous lecture, we saw at one point where Vladimir generalized certain action of estrogen. And now he is again generalizing from his own reaction. He is generalizing the situation. He's generalizing the action. So this line shows a restriction of natural expression, that you should not behave naturally. You are bound to avoid behaving naturally in different situations. And so estrogen then says a dreadful privation. So estrogen comments briefly when he sees that Vladimir has stopped laughing. So his tone shows detachment, and his tone is again minimal. Then Vladimir merely smile. He smiles suddenly from ear to ear, keeps smiling, ceases as suddenly. Description is there. It's not the same thing. Again, you will find repetition of one of the major dialogues, nothing to be done. Then we see a pause. Then he calls him again, Gogo. So Vladimir smartly reduces laughter to a controlled action. Then you see the description. That description tells us about the smile, and it shows that the smile is artificial, it is mechanical, and that artificiality and being mechanical shows lack of natural emotion. Our characters are emotionally detached. Then he says nothing to be done. So he concludes this dialogue that even controlled expression fails. We don't get any result. If we do something, we don't get any result. This line shows resignation within the moment. He's resigning from there, he's resigning from that moment. He doesn't want to, maybe he doesn't want to extend it. Then he pauses, and then he calls Gogo. That word Gogo shows certain kind of intimacy. When you call someone his nickname by his nickname, then Estrogen irritably, he's irritated, he's frustrated. What is it? He's asking question again. So his reaction is showing impatience. his reaction is showing frustration. He has lost patience. Then Vladimir said, "Did you ever read the Bible?" Now another reference, another question. And now see, he has turned his discussion towards something else. He has changed, basically he's changed the topic. And the change is again sudden, abrupt. We are not expecting such kind of things, because certain thing was going on, and now he starts talking about Bible, reading the Bible. So dramatically we find the topic is again changed without intimation. So by changing the topic, we see that Vladimir has shifted the conversation. He has shifted the he has changed the topic. Why he does that? We have to find it out. Then Estragon says he the Bible. He he reflects. I must have taken a look at it. So Estragon's response is uncertain, unclear. He's not sure about it, that whether he has read it or not. So this line is very important if you are going to discuss about weak memory. Before that, in previous lectures, at one point, we found almost the same, that Strajan was not clear about remembering something. So we are establishing, or these dialogues are establishing, that Strajan has a weak memory. That is one of our major concepts of the play. Then, Vladimir, do you remember the Gospels? Now he's narrowing the focus of the question. He is focusing on the uncertain Gospels. Estragon says, I remember the maps of the Holy Land. Colored they were, very pretty. The Dead Sea was pale blue. The very look of it made me thirsty. That's where we will go. I used to say, that's where we'll go for our honeymoon. We'll swim, we'll be happy. Now see the response of Estragon. He is not responding about religious content. His focus is not on religious content. Rather, he is recalling visual details, maps. So here, the focus is shifting from meaning to appearance. Content will give you the meaning, but maps will give you certain kind of appearance. And he says the Dead Sea was pale blue. The very look of it made me thirsty. So here he's describing his sensory reaction rather than intellectual understanding. We observe that Estragon is not connected to intellectual thoughts or to comprehending certain ideas. Instead, his focus is on is on visuals. Then he says that's where we'll go, and till we'll be happy. And yes, you see, Strajan is shifting from memory to imagination. Now he is imagining certain thing. He is creating a simple vision of happiness. And that vision of happiness is not related to the previous question. That is not related to the Gospels. That is not related to the Bible, right? He is asked something different, but he is answering something different. So we will stop here as page number 9 finishes. We'll see different themes here, and this, especially in this context. One of the key themes is incomplete and undefined ideas. And where it is shown when Vladimir introduces repentance but refuses to explain it. So it shows that ideas are incomplete and undefined. Then Estragon's question forces clarification, but the idea still remains unfinished, unexplained. Another thing we find is restriction of natural expression. It is visible when Vladimir's laughter is suddenly stopped and replaced with controlled smiling. He stops smiling naturally, rather he controls his smile. So that shows that even basic emotion becomes limited. Another theme is failure of communication. It also appears in these lines when Vladimir asks about the Bible and Gospels, whereas Estragon does not respond with related knowledge. Instead, what he does, he shifts discussion to maps and colors that shows a break in shared understanding. There's also another theme that is shift from meaning to surface detail, from depth to surface. When Estragon remembers visual aspects like color and thirst rather than religious content. And finally, we also see the theme of escape into imagination that we find at the end. It also exists when Estragon moves from memory of maps to imagining a honeymoon we will be happy. Now, if you see the techniques, what techniques the writer has used, Beckett is using a question and answer structure here. One person is questioning, other one is responding, and both are even asking questions and responding to their to those questions. Clearly or not, that is other thing. That this basically this technique uh, is used here, and we see that responses often fail to match questions. Uh, Basically, why he's doing this, he's creating disconnection. He's also using abrupt topic shifting. He moves from repentance to laughter, then to the Bible, and then to maps and imagination at the end. Then we also find another technique that is interrupted expression. It appears when Vladimir's laughter is suddenly stopped by physical discomfort. Beckett is also using contrast in response style, where Vladimir speaks in abstract ideas while Estragon responds with sensory and visual details. There is a contrast. Again, you will find another technique that is of mechanical repetition of action. That technique we can observe in Vladimir's forced smile, which appears and then disappears abruptly. We will also find progressive displacement of meaning, where each new idea replaces the previous one instead of developing it. So look at these techniques, how he is uh, progressing in this play. Then we are going to critically analyze it. If you see this page, if you see dialogue in this page, you will find that conversation does not develop in a continuous way. It is interrupted. Why? Because or how? Because each idea is either interrupted or redirected. So there is no continuity in communication, or you say communication is not successful, it is failing. You see, Vladimir introduces repentance, but it remains undefined because he refuses to explain it when he's asked to explain. What does it mean? So, Stragen's extreme response shifts the idea away from its original direction. The laughter scene shows how natural expression is interrupted and replaced with controlled action. And it leads Vladimir to conclude that even laughter is no longer easy. We are shown the reality of that time, the time after the World War, that even laughing, that is very healthy activity and that is very emotional, is is nowhere. It vanishes. Again, you find the shift to the Bible does not lead to discussion of religious content. He is trying to discuss, to bring religious content, but see how Astrajan replaces it with visual memory of maps. He does not want to, he's not discussing religious content. Maybe he lacks knowledge. Maybe he's not interested in the content, in the meaning. Rather, he's interested in appearance. So this breaks the expected flow of question and answer. The final movement into the imagination, because he is imagining at the end of this page, of this passage, it shows that instead of resolving the discussion, the conversation moves away into a personal vision of happiness. How he's imagining, how he looks selfish here, or maybe he needs it a lot. That's why he's imagining. He has not been happy for a long time. There is a possibility. Accumulatively, if you see, we find certain ideas begin, but none of the ideas is completed. They remain unfinished. That creates a fragmented exchange that tells us fragmentation. And let's conclude this paragraph at the end, because this passage is representing a series of broken and incomplete exchanges. Ideas are expressed here. Number one, we see repentance, we see laughter, then we see religion. All of these are introduced, but they are not developed, they are not established to the completion. So we also see the dialogue shifts repeatedly from abstract thought to physical reaction and then to imagination. So there are certain shifts. First, repeated repetition, then abstract ideas, and then we come to physical reaction, and then imagination comes. As a result, consequently, we can say the conversation remains fragmented with no idea reaching a clear conclusion within these lines. So here, I hope you have understood it. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you for watching.